Hello and welcome back. Let me walk you through what I've seen and why it all adds up for me. We know Anna has been struggling terribly with her mental health. She escaped the psychiatric facility again, only to be caught and returned. Laura is the one who broke the news on screen, speaking with that calm, measured tone she always uses when she's carrying the weight of the whole town on her shoulders. She mentioned that Anna would be moved to a high-security government facility for her own protection and everyone else's, and she even hinted that someone would be sent to help her. She never named that someone on Monday's episode, but the way her eyes flickered just a fraction told me there was more to the sentence than she was letting on. I've watched Jeannie Francis play Laura long enough to recognize when she's holding back a secret that could shake Port Charles to its foundations. Then Tuesday rolled around and Valentin practically exploded with fury. He got an update on Anna through a burner phone from a contact he clearly trusted, and the next thing we know, he's passing that information straight to Carly. He didn't reveal his source. Of course, he never does, but the determination in his voice when he said he was heading to France to get Anna out was unmistakable. Here's a man who is still a wanted fugitive, risking everything, and he's doing it for Anna. That alone would be enough to keep me glued to the screen, but when you layer in the possibility that Laura is the one feeding him the details, the whole picture changes from a simple rescue mission into something far more layered and personal. Think about how Valentin contacted the facility. He impersonated Kevin Collins on the phone. Kevin, Laura's own husband. That choice feels too deliberate to be random. It's almost as if Valentin wanted to make sure the call could be traced back to someone close to Laura without actually exposing her. And then there's the burner phone. In all my years of watching, burner phones have always meant one thing on this show. Someone is trying very hard to keep a conversation off the official record. I keep coming back to the same question. Why would Valentin trust anyone else right now? The most logical answer, the one that fits every beat we've seen, is that he and Laura have already established a private line of communication. They're not shouting it from the rooftops. They're operating in the shadows, exactly the way the Cassadines and the Spencers have always done when the stakes are this high. Now, I know what some viewers might say. Lulu and Valentin have a rocky history at best, and Lulu certainly wouldn't approve of her mother getting mixed up with the man who once caused her so much pain. But here's where the story gets beautifully complicated, and where I believe the writers are showing us real character growth. During the long months when Lulu was in that coma, Laura spent countless hours at her bedside, and somewhere in those quiet, desperate days, she started to see Valentin differently. She saw the father who would move heaven and earth for his daughter. She saw a man capable of genuine tenderness beneath all that Cassadine armor. I remember thinking at the time that Laura's heart was softening toward him, and now those quiet, off-screen moments are paying off in the most surprising way. Laura has always been a woman who believes in second chances. She gave Luke more than anyone could count, so it makes perfect sense to me that she would quietly reach out to Valentin when Anna needed someone who could act without being watched. What really seals it for me is how strange it feels that Laura didn't turn to Emma or Mac instead. Those two have been Anna's family for years. Emma is practically a daughter to her, and Mac has been a steady, reliable presence through every crisis. If Laura were simply looking for the safest, most obvious help, she would have gone straight to them. The fact that she appears to have chosen Valentin instead tells me the plan requires someone who can move in the gray areas, someone who isn't afraid to bend the rules or even break them. Valentin is that someone. And the only way this partnership stays hidden is if their most important conversations are happening off camera, just quick-coded exchanges on that burner phone when no one else is listening. I can picture it so clearly, Laura stepping into a quiet corner of the mayor's office, dialing a number only she and Valentin know, and the two of them piecing together a rescue that no one else in Port Charles would ever suspect. But here's where the story takes on even more heat for me, and where I feel the writers are adjusting the canvas in the most thrilling way. This secret alliance isn't just about saving Anna from herself. I'm starting to believe Laura is using Valentin's actions as a way to quietly dismantle the threats posed by Sidwell and Cullum. Those two have been circling Port Charles like sharks lately, and Laura has every reason to want them gone. At the same time, she's fiercely protective of her own legacy, the Spencer name, the mayor's office, the family she's fought so hard to hold together. By letting Valentin take the visible risks, Laura keeps her own hands clean while still steering the outcome. It's classic Laura, always the strategist, always one step ahead, but this time she's found an unlikely partner who understands the game as well as she does. I've spent the last few nights replaying those scenes in my head, and every single detail feels intentional. The way Laura's voice softened just a touch when she spoke about Anna's transfer. The flash of anger in Valentin's eyes that seemed bigger than simple concern for an old flame. The careful way he kept Carly in the dark about his source. All of it points to a partnership that's been quietly building for weeks, maybe even months, right under our noses. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't feel forced or out of character. It feels like the natural evolution of two complicated people who have both loved and lost and learned to survive in this town that never stops testing them. I'll admit, part of me wonders if I'm reading too much into it. Maybe the writers will surprise us all and reveal something completely different next week. But that's the magic of General Hospital, isn't it? It keeps us guessing, keeps us caring, keeps us coming back. Right now, the air in Port Charles feels charged, the way it used to before a major reveal or a sweeping romantic reunion. I can almost feel the tension building toward whatever comes next, whether it's a daring rescue in France, a confrontation that forces Laura and Valentin into the open, or a quiet moment when Laura finally admits to someone she trusts that she's been working with the one man no one expected. Let me walk you through why this feels so right to me after all these decades of watching these characters grow and change. We already know Anna has been battling serious mental health struggles. She slipped out of the psychiatric facility once more, only to be caught and returned under tighter watch. Laura was the one who delivered that news on screen with her usual steady grace, mentioning that Anna would be transferred to a high-security government location for everyone's protection, and hinting that someone would be sent to help her. She never named that person aloud on Monday's episode, but the tiny pause in her voice and the way her eyes held steady told me she was guarding a secret far bigger than she was letting on. I've watched Jeannie Francis bring Laura to life long enough to spot when she's carrying a plan that could change everything. Then came Tuesday, and Valentin's controlled fury practically crackled through the screen. He received a fresh update on Anna through a burner phone from a source he clearly trusted completely, and moments later he was relaying the information to Carly without ever revealing where it came from. The determination in his eyes when he declared he was heading to France to rescue Anna, despite being a wanted man who could lose everything, felt bigger than simple old affection. That's when the pieces started locking together for me. The burner phone, the impersonation of Kevin when he first reached out to the facility, the careful way he kept his contact hidden, every detail screams a private channel that only one person in Port Charles could safely maintain right now. Laura has always been the strategist who works best in the shadows when the people she loves are in trouble, and I believe she has quietly become Valentin's lifeline. What seals it even more strongly is how out of character it would be for Laura to ignore the most obvious choices. Anna has lifelong ties to Emma and Mac people who would drop everything to help her without hesitation. If this were a straightforward cry for help from an old friend, Laura would have turned to them in a heartbeat. The fact that she appears to have chosen Valentin instead tells me the mission requires someone who can operate outside the law, someone willing to take risks no one else can afford. And here's the newest layer that has me absolutely buzzing. I'm now convinced Laura is the one secretly sponsoring Valentin's journey to France. She's not just offering advice or information, she's providing the resources he needs to get there safely and bring Anna home. It makes perfect sense when you remember how fiercely protective Laura has become of her own legacy and the stability of Port Charles itself. By funding him behind the scenes, she keeps her own hands clean while still steering events exactly where they need to go. But the story doesn't stop at the rescue. What has me leaning forward with real anticipation is the way this alliance is circling back to protect Laura herself. Once Valentin reaches Anna and the two of them manage to slip away from the dangers surrounding her, I believe they will return to Port Charles together, not just as rescuers, but as the very people who will save Laura and help restore order to a town that feels more unsettled than it has in years. Think about the threats that have been building lately, especially with Sidwell and Cullum still lurking in the background. Laura has every reason to want those shadows removed, and by using Valentin's skills and Anna's sharp instincts, she creates a powerful team that can strike from angles no one expects. It's a beautiful full-circle moment. Laura helps Valentin save Anna, and in return, Anna and Valentin come home to shield Laura and steady the city she has spent her life serving. I know some viewers might wonder if this feels too convenient after everything Lulu has been through. Lulu and Valentin have a complicated past, and she certainly wouldn't cheer for her mother growing close to him. Yet during those long, heartbreaking months when Lulu lay in a coma, Laura sat by her bedside hour after hour and began to see Valentin in a gentler light. She witnessed the devoted father who would risk the world for his child. She recognized a capacity for tenderness beneath the Cassadine armor. Those quiet, off-screen realizations have clearly deepened, and now they're blooming into an alliance that feels earned rather than forced. It's exactly the kind of character growth General Hospital does best, showing us that people can surprise us, that old enemies can become unlikely allies when the greater good is at stake. The beauty of it all is how the writers are letting these developments unfold just off camera enough to keep us guessing, yet dropping enough breadcrumbs to make the picture crystal clear once you step back. The burner phone conversations we never see, the coded glances, the way Laura's plans always seem one step ahead of everyone else's, it all points to a partnership that has been quietly building for weeks. And when Anna and Valentin finally walk back into Port Charles side by side, ready to stand with Laura against whatever storm is brewing, the shockwaves will ripple through every corner of the town. This isn't just a rescue mission anymore. It's becoming something deeper, something almost haunting in its intensity. The new obsession that's taking hold feels like the kind of sweeping, emotionally charged arc the show hasn't given us in a long while, the kind that keeps you thinking about the characters long after the credits roll.